always just happy when I think like.
Premier League nightmares and Champions League dreams, or better yet, Champions League dreams and Premier League nightmares. Drawing against Brentford was kind of like a hangover, which has been sandwiched in between a massive tie against Real Madrid. The Real Madrid first leg went in ways we could not imagine. And I would say the one lesson, as happy as I am, and I think I've spoken about all the isms and schisms in relation to that game, we need to keep our feet on the ground, get the job done. And nobody, well, maybe one, two people did, but no, even if people saw us beating Madrid, they probably didn't see us winning 3-0. And I wouldn't say unhappy, but thinking, you know what, we could have got some more goals and whatnot. The one lesson I would take heed from the first leg into the second leg is obviously anything can happen. Expect the unexpected. So we might win 4-0 this time, and Marino might score at the Bernabeu, Martinelli, Saka, and that. It is what it is, people. So yeah, before we obviously begin as well, people, I didn't do a birthday stream. That's only because my friends, my family, my own mother, everybody said, well, my friend said, if you go live, we're going to rush you the next time we see you. I'm not on it. Like, I back my chances, but so like, big up Theo. He's, yeah, you know, them Wakanda man, he's stiff pause and all of that. So yeah, people, again, thank you for the happy birthday messages. I'm trying to go through all of them. I got a lot. That means something to me, so I will reply to everyone because I appreciate it, people. So yeah, with that being said, though, I didn't get a chance here, so a toast to the most beautiful, handsome YouTuber there is, people, and on behalf of you lot for your messages, your support, etc, man, you lot, we've built a great platform and we're trying to get better and better. So for you lot, this is gonna bun up my chest, but celebration settings. All right, let's stop the nonsense now and go on now. Oh my god. Hiya. But anyways, woof. Yeah, I'm awake now. Arsenal shortlist Liverpool defensive target as Andrea Berta transfer doubt surfaces. Now, that's not what I want to see. Arsenal are open to strengthening their defense in the summer transfer window, but incomings at the back are poised to hinge on respective departures. Now, not to be disrespectful, but have we got false depth defensively? And what I mean by that is defense is probably the place where the coolest in it. Obviously, we need a couple of goalies, but that counts as the defensive unit. But we've got Raya. Let's ignore keepers for a sec. You've got Ben White, you've got Timber, you've got Saliba, you've got Gabriel Magalhaes. Lewis Skelly's announced himself on the 4. Technically, you've got Tierney, you've got Tomiyasu, Kiwior can play in at least 2 of the defensive positions. Obviously, you've got Zinchenko, Calafiori as well. And such as the options there, I might have missed someone. But if you force it a bit, and I am just trying to paint a picture, we know, well, I don't know anything because anything can happen. And I just spoke about expect the unexpected. But we imagine that at the very least, if we want to be a team that wins champs and prems and consistently challenges, you want to keep both of these players in Magalhaes and Saliba individually, right? And definitely as a pairing. And you don't want to make more holes in the squad that we already have that, right? But if you look at them two and consider the contract situations at the asterisks, where you look at Kiwior, he may or may not be at the club next season. The same said for Zinchenko. We all know Tierney is going back to Celtic and his contract is running out, so he's gone. Tomiyasu picks up injuries and apparently we're not going to see him at the very earliest until December. So have we really got depth there? I think there's scope to bring in another defender. I think next season, hot take, but I would probably think Calafiori and Lewis Skelly would be the left back options. But Lewis Skelly, you want to see him play in midfield. Calafiori, some of you say centre half. Timber is another option that can move over there. And as we've seen this season, there's been times where a man might be suspended, someone might be injured, and somebody might just be recovering and not have 90 minutes in them anyways. So for me, I think we need to get a left winger. We need a central midfielder. We definitely need a striker, and that's the hot priority. But I do think we need a left back or another defensive option. At best, I've said it before, a Timber, Tomiyasu, versatile kind of one there. Hato would be lit. I mean, the man's captained Ajax at 19. He's played left back more this season, could play left back as well as centre half, left footed, young, 19. The last defender in Timber that we got from Ajax, it worked out. We need to look at that pipeline. So, yeah, but as you would see is the case with half of these players, whether it's Zubimendi, whether it's Nico Williams, whether it's Jota as well, Hato, apologies. Everybody's wanted by everybody. So let's see. And let's scroll all the way down. Big up Ryan Taylor. Arsenal retain an interest in Ajax defender João Hato ahead of the summer transfer window, though any potential swoop is likely to hinge on the future of Jakub Kiwior. He done very well against Real Madrid, but struggles for game time and is still linked with clubs back in Italy, where he obviously lead the Polish international made a name for himself. The 25-year-old Pole has recently starred at the heart of Mikel Arteta's backline in the absence of injured centre-back Gabriel Magalhaes, whose season was cut short by a hamstring injury, which required surgery 10 days ago. Promising Holland defender Hato has been on Arsenal's radar since late 2023, but a move is yet to materialise, as he has since gone from strength to strength in Amsterdam, where he is considered an integral player in Francesco Ferroli's swashbuckling side. The 19-year-old has played left back all season, but he's also equally comfortable as a centre half, and his age, potential and versatility is of huge appeal to Mikel Arteta. Hato recently spoke on record about his admiration for Timber and the way his compatriot has mastered playing multiple defensive duties at the Emirates Stadium. Come and join us, my brother. Meanwhile, Tini is set to return to Celtic at the end of the campaign. Zinchenko and Kiwior's futures are in doubt due to a lack of game time. I actually think Zinchenko did quite well in midfield in the draw against Brentford. Though it's still not conclusive, the latter will definitely leave the club in the coming months. Exactly. I mean, he's got a year left on his deal. He's on 150 grand a week. You know, I'm sure people would probably maybe not so much, but if a gun to our head and we needed to win a game and have a strong defensive outlook, it's fair to say, whether you rate these players or not, asterisk, because Zinchenko's probably ahead of Tini in the pecking order. Maybe not so much right now, but you'd rather play the departing Tini. You'd definitely rather play Lewis Skelly. The option of Timber as well, and obviously Calafiori and Tomiyasu if and when fitness persists. So I don't know for Zinchenko. Does he reckon he can get back in the side? Does he reckon? I wouldn't say we know we need recruitment, because Arteta has said we've got a squad of 19. But if anything, has he looked? Is Zinchenko's thinking is, you know what? One, I'm happy in London. Two, I believe I can get my space back. Three, maybe the manager sees that, all right, he got rid of Eddie and Smith Rowe and Nelson, and you might have Fabio Vieira, and you might need bodies, etc., etc. Maybe decides to keep me. I'm obviously on big money. I'm comfortable in London. I was an Arsenal fan growing up. It's more on us to want to move on Zinchenko than him necessarily. Of course, game time is the thing that matters the most. But who knows? We might get a bid that we deem acceptable, and Zinchenko doesn't want to move to that club. We might get a bid that's deemed acceptable, but Zinchenko isn't going to earn decent wages. We might get a bid, but we don't deem it acceptable for us. I don't know, people. I wouldn't mind Zinni hanging around for a year and leaving. I know we got to get a hold on the wages, and, you know, to be fair with Jorginho, Thomas Partey, who this week off the back of 2 games, do we really want to let him go? Kiritini, that's over 300 grand a week off the wage bills. Obviously, Kiwior is on 50 odd grand. That's shaved. You get the Fabio Vieiras, the Reece Nelsons, the Lokongas, the Tavareses off the wage bill. It's more money to put towards committing the futures of the players we want to keep here and bringing in top players. Because if you go and get Gyökeres, if you go and get Nico Williams, they're going to be on a decent pay packet, people. Let me know your thoughts and smash the like button. Maybe I'm making this all up. Kiwior remains highly valued by Arteta. You know what it is with Kiwior, if you want to leave and go get more first team football, because reality is you're not going to get that much game time at left back. You're not really going to play at centre half. But if you're on staying and being a body and you're comfortable here and you grow in confidence in the game time you get, I'm cool. Because you look in the last 3 seasons, this has been the theme for Kiwior. 2022, 23. Obviously, he was probably behind Rob Holding in the pecking order. Eventually got his chance. Last season, he got a run of games because of such. This season, he's got that. So I'm cool, because I think over a 38-game period in the Premier League, however much, if you go the way or to the latter stages in the Champions League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, we all know we get into that phase in the season where you've got 2 games a week, 3 games in 10 days. You need bodies. But for Kiwior, I do wonder how much you're really going to develop playing. And obviously, respectfully to Kiwior, no matter how good you are, if and when Gabriel Magalhaes is fit, he's obviously playing in it really and truly. But I would like Kiwior to keep playing, growing in confidence. The better he gets, the more competition. It looks good. If he decides he wants to leave and he can put a good account of himself and what's left of this season in the Prem and whatnot, then you're putting yourself in the shop window. Kiwior remains hugely valued by Arteta, and he is unlikely to be short of interest, having previously been courted by several Italian clubs and Marseille. He also throw in Villarreal and Sevilla, allegedly. The prospect of Arsenal strengthening their defensive options is subject to departures, as the acquisitions of a striker, central midfielder, in brackets likely too. That's music to my ears, because you lot all know I want 2 midfielders. A winger and a backup goalkeeper are currently of greater priority. Liverpool are also tracking Dutchman Hato, who's got a Dutch manager in onslaught, alongside their pursuit of Bournemouth's Emilios Kirkes, who's also linked with us. So we'll have to see him. We're also linked with Dean Hyson, and apparently we're a number of clubs that have spoken with his agent. However, it's difficult to envisionize the Gunners triggering the Spaniard's 50 million release clause, given he would be behind Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba in the Emirates pecking order. Competition for Hyson's signature is also fierce, with his father, Donny, who was in London as recently as Friday to meet up with various interested partners. Hato's Ajax contract runs until 2028 and does not include a buyout clause, meaning Ajax will be looking to drive a hard bargain. And you look at what they earned for De Jong, De Ligt, Lisandro Martinez, and Kudus. And to be fair, we didn't pay over the odds for Timber. You know, we're the Holy Trinity: Ajax, Barca, Arsenal. Yeah, link up. Ajax, allow us. I'm a big fan of Hato. Allow us. I like Heinzen, who's Dutch/Spanish. I like him. I just don't know if it makes sense to spend 50 million. Obviously, if we could have, you know, in the Emirates era, let's be honest, we've had shit defenders. You know, we've had shit defenders. Our best defender, I think Mertesacker Saka don't get his plaudits. I think our best defender, or the one that was held in high regards, was probably Koscielny. If you're not talking fullbacks, we probably had better fullbacks generally, people, but just centre halves. So I'm on having Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes. Even just one of those in the Emirates era would have been cherished, let alone two of those, let alone throwing in Timber. Lewis Skelly announcing himself. We can never downplay the Benjamin White's thing just because we've got a shiny new toy and he's a great one in Timber. So we've got great defensive options. I'm all for this. If you've got Gabriel Magalhaes, William Saliba, and young Hyson fighting for a spot, great. As much as I want to keep Magalhaes and sign him to a new deal and all of that, he's 27. There is going to be a time we're going to have to move man on. So if you can get Dean Hyson in, I'm all for that. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I know this, but if he can play right back, there's game time there. And you look at, I would call it the transferables. You look at the way Bournemouth and Areola play, everyone plays out from the back, but they're playing out from the back, the Spanish kind of ethos, the high pressing, all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, Areola and Arteta, they're both Spanish. They're both from the same region of Spain. They don't play the same way. But I think there's intangibles to ensure if we did sign him, it's like a seamless transition, if that makes sense. Also, throw into the fact that Premier League proven, all of that kind of stuff as well. I mean, for him, though, obviously, Arsenal, London, I think if you want to sign for a big club, whether it's Arsenal, Real Madrid, even Liverpool with Van Dijk, who's going to sign a new deal on Kanate, even City's been linked with, there's competition. If I was him, I'm not going to allow go Chelsea because the London aspect, let's not lie, Chelsea are a big club and the defenders are shit, bro. Like Levi Colwill's probably the only one that's going to start. He's a left-sided centre-back. If you're Dean Henderson, you believe you can take Fufa on the spot and Toast in spot and this one and that one and the third people. So yeah, apparently Hato is very much a target championed by Arteta, but the influence of newly appointed sporting director Andrea Berta on Arsenal's summer transfer dealings cannot be understated. For instance, Joan Garcia, long viewed within the club as the ideal number 2 to Raya, is one deal Berta seems key to reconsider. The Gunners have done plenty of groundwork on the 23-year-old player, initially recommended by goalkeeper coach Inaki Kanya after they saw 2 bids rejected by Espanyol last August following Aaron Ramsdale's move to Southampton. However, sources close to the Spanish shortstopper have indicated there's been no contact from Berta since he started work in North London, which doesn't mean we're necessarily not going to go for him, fueling the notion they could instead explore alternative options. Up to 10 clubs have approached Garcia's reps, including Barcelona and Leverkusen. He'll be allowed to leave Espanyol for below his release clause this summer, which is great to us, but he's still likely to cost a decent fee. And given he will be second in command to Raya, Berta seems to feel that cash would be better spent elsewhere. Garcia remains open to joining Arsenal and would be keen to compete with Raya for the number 1 spot at the Emirates should the opportunity arrive, which is music to my ears of such. On Zubimendi, David Ornstein has said Arsenal are expecting him to arrive in the summer. Internally, they seem to be working on the basis that Zubimendi will be coming in and they'll be building the team with him there. Hey, listen, I'm all on that, but at the end of the day, until a man signed for us holding the shirt, I grew up watching Vieira, Petit, Henry, Bergkamp. It's all was really and truly, and that goes for every player. And also added a couple percentages on Zubimendi because 1 minute you're going Arsenal, Liverpool, Real Madrid, you're leaving Sociedad, then you're having a U-turn. I don't know what's going on there. Ben White, I need to see you. You weren't in the squad against Brentford. Apparently, we don't know. He could not be in condition to be in the squad versus Brentford and be selected. We have a few days, but we'll have to wait and see. That was our Arteta post-game. Graham Bailey on Bukayo Saka said, Arsenal are willing to offer Bukayo Saka a contract extension worth 300 grand a week, making him the club's highest paid player. TBR Football can reveal Berta is leading talks and would ideally like Saka's new deal to be in place before the summer break. Now, before I carry on, yeah, obviously, I'm not saying take Odegaard's spot, etc. But a lot of you, some of you Arsenal fans on my channel feel very differently, and you're allowed your opinion. Smash the like button. I just want to ask you, when we talk about if Odegaard isn't going to be the captain, we talk a lot about Gabriel Magalhaes and Declan Rice, right? And they deserve it. They do their thing in their own regards. But why do we never consider Bukayo Saka, who captains Arsenal, the poster boy, etc.? In relation to the contract, I think every Arsenal fan understands that you need that. If I'm you, if I'm William Saliba, if I'm Gabriel Magalhaes, I need to be earning the latter ends of 200 grand a week, 300 grand plus, and bonuses and all of that, because Saka is our poster boy. He's our difference maker. Lord knows how much it would cost to buy if there is a right winger of equal ability. He's obviously from our academy. I don't like to talk about it from a business sense, but there's the marketability. Bro, Bukayo Saka #7's got to be probably the highest sold shirt at the Armory or at Arsenal and whatnot, people. So it just makes sense from a footballing point of view, and of all the other off the field thingamajigs. It makes sense, really. It really does. And I don't want to do this, but it's one thing us talking about strikers and wingers and centre mids. And please make no mistake, we need to be serious in terms of upgrading the squad and looking after it. And a lot of that is focused on incomings, right? We need that 1,000,000%. But I do think we fail to understand keeping the core of the group, whether that's Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, or Bukayo Saka, is another thing that is of equal importance. And also good players or players that is at your club already getting better. It's not, in this day and age in the Premier League, the solution is money, in it. It's money and sacking. You get a manager, it doesn't work, sack. You get a player, a right winger, you need one, or a left winger, you need one, it doesn't work, buy another one, which is true. But developing, retaining talent, better in talent, which Saka, Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes year in, year out, this reflects. So I don't think anyone can have any problems about Saka getting that deal, but we've got to test in somewhere. It goes back to what we said earlier, Jorginho, Tini. I would like to keep Thomas Partey, but he's on big money, and let me know your thoughts in that. They're on big money. I don't see us. We hear Arteta wants to actually keep Jorginho, but they're on big money. So I think the club will say, that's about just over 300k a week, shedded off the wage bill. This gives us more finances to pour between others. And then you've got the Kiwiors, the Lokongas, the Zinchenkos, every player who is subject to speculation. I mean, every player's got a price, in it. And I'm jumping ahead a bit, but the Odegaards and Martinellis in particular, if they don't get better or, keep evolving, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not the other year. And I love Odegaard and Martinelli. We might have to consider their future. So what are you lot saying? Thierry Henry will be a special guest on Monday Night Football, which would be good. Fabio Vieira got MVP for Porto's Player of the Match award for his performance in their 1-0 away win to Casapai. Seems like he's finding his feet in Porto. I wouldn't say he's pulling up trees. I reckon he's going to be in the squad next season. No one don't care what Gary Neville has said. I have to speak to them. De Bruyne not open to shock Arsenal free transfer. I bet you took his, without reading this, I bet they took his words out of context and they're remixing. As we know, it was announced Kevin De Bruyne, as they say on FIFA, is leaving at the end of the season. He's opened the door to a shock move to Arsenal. Has he opened a shock move to Arsenal, or is he open to speaking to anyone in theory? He said, honestly, I don't know. The decision to leave has not been long. I have to speak to them and I'll see whichever team wants me. So I don't know. I have no idea. Hasn't said much there, really, really and truly. And I mean, technically, Arteta's crossed paths with Kevin De Bruyne. And yeah, fuck Kevin, pardon my French, because didn't you push my manager? Forget that. We spoke a lot about Kiwior. Apparently, Kiwior could be gearing up for a defensive. Well, Crystal Palace could be gearing up for a defensive shake-up with Mark Guehi's future at Selhurst Park hanging in the balance. We have been linked with Mark Guehi before, so I guess Kiwior is being linked with Crystal Palace. And I got love for Crystal Palace after buying Eddie and Nketiah off us. Apparently, behind the scenes, Palace are forming contingency plans, and Kiwior is one of them. The Polish international joined Arsenal for 19.5 million from Spezia in January 2023, and he has struggled for regular minutes unless there's injuries. Apparently, if Palace move forward, a deal in the region of 20 to 25 million euros could be enough to tempt Arsenal into talks. The Gunners would want to recoup most of their original outlay. I hear that would be good for us. I mean, what we want Eze as well. Can we make something happen? You're a Premier League club. You got money. Give us proper money, people, if I'm honest. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle are all interested in Hugo Ekitike, with club scouts and even executives watching him closely. Frankfurt will demand a fee of 95 to 100 million in the summer. Speaking on Crystal Palace, apparently we, Arsenal, are among the clubs exploring a move to sign Crystal Palace's Mateta. Arsenal have no plans to sign Raheem Sterling on a permanent deal. They'll send him back to Chelsea. Is that really newsworthy? Arda Güler has reportedly warned Real Madrid president Florentino Perez that he will leave the club this summer unless Carlo Ancelotti departs. Are we having Arda Güler? We've gone over the Berta thing already. We all know that bringing in defensive options from what we're being briefed is contingent on departures. We've gone over the Hatto stuff. Arsenal and Chelsea are leading the race to sign Nico Williams. Both clubs are prepared to trigger his 60 million euros release clause and beat any salary proposed by Barcelona. He scored at the weekend. He's actually being linked with Newcastle now as well. We all know the gap between us and Liverpool is a lot to comprehend, if I'm honest. Barcelona's contract talks with Rafinha have stalled over wage demands. Deco would be open to selling him to Arsenal or Chelsea for a fee of 80 million. Wasn't before Deco obviously became a sporting director? Wasn't he the agent of Rafinha? And Rafinha's tried so hard to turn his life around at Barcelona. He has. He's probably their best player, give or take, with Yalmao. He's doing a lot. This is always heard, naturally, because he's been making a difference. Contract talks have probably began, offering an improved term. Like in any job, if you're doing your thing in the ideal world, they want to give you a new deal. Equally, when it seems like someone's in contract talks, I don't know whether it's an agent or whatever, but you hear that they're open to leaving, etc. I'm not sure, because you'd imagine Rafinha wants to play on the right-hand side, although you look at how he's being used under Hansi Flick, maybe Arteta would have done that and he wouldn't necessarily have played on the right-hand side or been direct competition to Bukayo Saka. I mean, this Barcelona Rafinha playing in his role, Bukayo Saka and someone on the left, is a mouth-watering prospect. Manchester City are set to launch a double raid on AC Milan for Theo Hernandez and Rangers. Now, apparently it will cost 100 million for both. So if I'm being a bit simple and saying one is worth, 50 million a piece or 60-40, I want Rangers. I like Rangers as a player in midfield, and I want a midfielder of his skill set. That's the only reason I'm mentioning that. But sorry, Arsenal are lining up a 35 million pound bid to sign Real Madrid winger Arda Güler. I would do it. Hope Ozil can put in a word for us, but I don't buy that. Napoli are focusing a move to bring Arsenal's Jakub Kiwior back to Serie A. Arsenal, as well as Newcastle and Spurs, as well as Chelsea and Liverpool, are all heavily interested in Heinsohn of Bournemouth, and obviously freshly capped for Spain. But there's a competition for him signing him by the most Premier League clubs. So yeah, everyone's on him. And I can't pronounce this lad's name, the Monaco lad, Magnus Alouche of Monaco. I'm on signing him. I think he's quality. I think that's a very good competitor for Odegaard's role. Apparently, but Bukola is hesitating extending his deal at PSG. I know some of you want PSG's Bukola, so let me know your thoughts and subscribe, people, of what we've got so far. Moving on.
As always,